What's up, squad, and welcome to episode 2 of X Marks the Spot, your dedicated Xbox podcast here at youtube.com/InstallationX. I'm your host, your captain, your one-man band, Sykes, and I hope that whoever you are, wherever you are, and whatever you may be doing, you are safe and well. Don't forget that if you enjoyed this video podcast, leave a like, head over to InstallationX and subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications of future uploads. And if you want to get involved in the show, then let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and you can also send your questions via email to xmarksthespotpodcast@gmail.com or tweet me at _installation_x with the best questions being added to the show. I hope you are well, guys. I hope you are enjoying things as much as possible. I know it's not been easy lately, but I've played quite a lot of games this week, surprisingly. Doing okay, actually. I finished GTA 5 story mode. That was brilliant. Got back on Sea of Thieves in preparation for the update coming next week. Started Fable Anniversary because I realised the other day, I came to this epiphany, that if a Fable 4 is actually going to be announced, which is a very, very strong possibility, can't really talk about it because I haven't actually played all the Fable games. I know, hands up, shoot me, Xbox fan, how have you not played the Fable games? But I've not actually played them. They came out and I missed them. So now the fact that they're all on Game Pass and they're all backwards compatible, I started playing Fable Anniversary. I don't think it's aged very well though, so I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it for very long. I might move on to Fable 2 or Fable 3, but so far, so good. A couple of housekeeping things to let you guys know. Since last week's update, I've released a video on Bleeding Edge, my Bleeding Edge review. It was a little bit late because obviously dealing with other things and whatnot going on in, life really. So I thought the game overall was good, but I didn't think it was much more than good. I think it has its faults that holds it back from being really good and great. So if you want to check that out, that is on the channel live now and upcoming in the next couple of days. Can't confirm yet. It'll most likely be Monday. I'll be doing a new episode of my Will It Happen series, which is all about speculating about future sequels or follow-ups to games. And I'm going to be speculating whether an Ori 3 will ever happen. So that's what's coming your way. Now, with this week's podcast, it's going to be a little bit shorter. Because there's not much to talk about. Obviously, last week we had quite a lot of information. We had a bumper episode of Inside Xbox where there was lots of announcements. I probably went through too much stuff. I had some good feedback from a few people, which I appreciate very much. If you got any feedback, don't forget to leave that in the comment section. But this week, it's more about rumours and leaks that are floating around the internet, and we're going to try and pick through those and see whether they could happen and whether they're credible or not, and what my thoughts on them might be. So take this with a pinch of salt. It's not all going to be 100% accurate. Some things might happen, some things might not happen, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So, the Xbox Treasure Chest of News has, I believe, let's double check, 8 items in this week's Treasure Chest of News, with number 1 being, there are rumours of 2 big Xbox digital events coming soon with big announcements incoming. So this is a blog post on 4chan, which I got to via CCN, and it hints at 2 big digital events from Microsoft and Team Xbox in May and June. Now, I'm going to read through the blog post and we can pull it apart and see whether any of this might actually happen. So, quote, there will be 2 next-generation Xbox digital events in the next 2 months. The one in May will be pretty much like a proper console reveal event, but it will have selective showcase game announcement demos as well. The one in June will be their replacement for E3. It's a show packed with games. The exact form of these 2 is still being worked on as we speak. It will be live-streamed video content though, obviously with the pandemic going on at the moment. There'll be tons of new games by Xbox first party, big guns, medium games, a few smaller ones. Their new games are sharing a lot of tech built on Unreal Engine 4. From water PBR, GI, procedural systems and optimized Houdini access, VRS optimization, physical vegetation systems, etc, etc. The teams try to share tech to accelerate development, which we're starting to see now between the studios, to be fair. Fable is one of those showcase games, a fantasy monster. I haven't seen it personally, but I got told it looks beautiful. They try to build the whole fantasy world with handcrafted photogrammetry. Yeah, that sounds right. Yet the world will throw in a mix of procedural generation for bigger scale. Complete RPG systems in place, focus on great third-person fights and fluid animations. From the sounds of it, I expect the game to hit 2022. A big exclusive, new IP coming from a Japanese studio, no further details known. Halo Infinite has a huge open world you can explore, yet the story missions themselves are linear to still be able to progress through the story in a more classic way. Optional exploration. It's a much more ambitious campaign this time around, not your usual 6 to 9 hours Halo campaign. They are doing one very bold move for multiplayer, which will surprise people, but this move has the potential to bring Halo multiplayer back among the top played games on Xbox. Obsidian, OMG Obsidian, that's what it said on Obsidian. Forza Motorsport gets a complete reboot. Internal retooling of Forza tech happened during the last few years already. Engine in position for next gen now. Further reboots coming, just a tease of what's to come. The next 2 months are going to be fire. Phil not holding back. So, there is a lot to get through there. I think the best way of approaching this is let's just break it down and see what do we think is actually going to happen. I think we could get, it's very, very possible, we could get 2 digital events between now and when E3 was slated to be, which I haven't got the exact date right in front of me, but it's in the middle of June. E3 is traditionally usually the middle of June, the second or third week of June. Now, it's very possible we could get these 2 events, right? We've seen that in some capacity it can work. The Inside Xbox episode was a testament to that. You know, everyone is going to be at their own places. I don't know if they're going to do it, like, Inside Xbox has always been very casual. It's always been a bit more laid back than E3 press conferences have or GDC or anything like that. So I don't know if we're necessarily going to get footage of people being in their homes. It might be developers doing stuff within their studios as best they can. But I think it's quite clear the 2 events could happen. The one in May pretty much being a proper console reveal event. I can see that because at the moment we have written specs, we have all the details, we have a look at what the box looks like, we have had a look inside the box and its form factor and how it's manufactured and how all the pieces connect together, the CPU, the GPU, the SSD, the airflow system, we've had all that. The one thing we still haven't properly had is a full-on game demonstration on the Series X, apart from what we saw at the Game Awards with Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2's trailer at the Game Awards was captured all in engine. So, yes, I could definitely see us having a reveal event with more games to showcase. Forza will undoubtedly be one of them, because Forza always is. They did the same for, I think it was Forza 7? Yeah, Forza 7 on the Xbox One X, so that could definitely happen. And then when we get into a few of the nitty-gritties, Fable seems to definitely be happening. This is almost the worst kept secret in gaming at this point. Everyone seems to be confident that Fable is happening. And this whole idea about, I mean, I don't know that much about Fable, as I've just talked about previously, now that I'm going to go play through the games. But this idea of handcrafted photogrammetry, okay, that's cool. I like that. A mix of procedural generation for bigger scale. That would be very interesting. That would be very, very interesting to see how that will work on a larger scale map and world if it's procedurally generated. Is it going to be the same for everyone? Is it going to be different from everyone? Who knows? Complete RPG systems in place, that seems to be a given. A focus on third-party fights and fluid animations, that seems, fairly solid. Expect the game to hit 2022. I would not be surprised by this at all if this is the case. I'll tell you why. Because we know that Playground Games, who are based here in the UK, they're based out of Leamington Spa, near Coventry and Birmingham, for anyone who lives in the UK. That's where Rare is as well, actually. So they're very, very close together. We know they've been heading up a second team. But we're not talking about an internal team that is an offshoot, like, say, what Ninja Theory have done with Bleeding Edge or what Obsidian are doing with Grounded. No. This is a full-scale second team. This is a big team, 100-plus employees, right? But in order to embed that and set that up, that takes time. We've seen that with the initiative. We know that takes time to embed. So as well as building the studio and building the team from scratch, they have to do that first, then start thinking about the game. So the idea that this game and Playground were officially acquired in 2018, I would say that plans for their second team have been put in place before then. Okay? Maybe even as early as 2017. The team's set up. If they get going by 2022, that's 5 years. 4 to 5 years. That sounds about right. Because what I'm thinking, as long as things go well and we don't get a Halo Infinite delay, Halo Infinite is going to be the big game for this year. It's going to be the big first party. Halo Infinite launches with the Series X. Fingers crossed. That should still be happening, but please let that happen. The other thing we have to consider is Hellblade, right? Hellblade 2, or Hellblade 1, sorry, came out in 2017, I believe. It was originally on the PlayStation 4, came to Xbox later when Ninja Theory were acquired. I think that will be next year's big full release. I think Microsoft are going to be pushing Hellblade to be the forefront of this console, the next big IP, that very, very rich narrative, character-based game, because Senua's got the ability to be an incredible character, and they're going to put her front and center of the Xbox Series X. So I think that will be the big game for 2021, and in 2022, I think we're going to potentially see Fable, if this is correct, and maybe Gears 6. But they might push Gears 6 back even later, because Gears 5 launched last year. I don't know how quickly they're going to turn Gears 6 around. To be fair to the Coalition, we had 2016, we have had 2019. That's a 3-year dev cycle. If we go by that, it will be 2022. But we know 3-year dev cycles aren't a given anymore. Look at Halo. Halo was working on a 3-year dev cycle, 2012, 2015. Now we're in 2020. So it depends. But I can definitely see 2022 being a year for Fable to hit if this game is real. We have to wait for this to be confirmed, of course. A big exclusive IP coming from Japan Studio. I think that could happen. I think that could definitely happen. I think Phil Spencer's often talked about how he wants to grow Xbox in Japan. He wants to get more Japanese games, especially JRPGs, on the console. I can definitely see that happening. Although it's interesting because I believe Scalebound with Platinum, that was technically a Japanese IP, I believe. I could be wrong. So I don't know how I don't know whether creatively and on a philosophy level, if Microsoft and the Japanese kind of games are matching at the moment, but I could definitely see Phil going in for that. And there's been talk about Xbox founding and building a studio up in Japan for years. That discussion's been going on and off for ages. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility. I think that could happen. Halo Infinite, this is the big one, right? Halo Infinite has a huge open world you can explore, yet the story missions themselves are linear. That is Gears 5. Okay, Gears 5 had open world areas in Acts 2 and 3, and then it got linear again. So you had big open world areas for you to explore, and you could do optional side missions. But when you got to the area of the world where the main story mission was taking place, it was very linear. It was your narrow corridors into your larger areas. It was very, very structured. I could definitely see that being the same for Halo, because I think that worked brilliantly for Gears 5, and it really, really, really mixed things up and made things feel really fresh. So now I like that idea. Optional Exploration is a much more ambitious campaign this time around, not your usual 6 to 9 hours Halo campaign. I think, if I'm being honest, with 343, 6 to 9 hours is being nice. They've been shorter than 6 hours. You can quite comfortably get through the story, or it depends on what difficulty you're playing on, I guess. If you're playing on normal, you can quite comfortably get through the story of Halo 4 and Halo 5 between 4 and 5 hours. It's not long at all, and I want a longer Halo campaign. Halo for me is all about the campaign first and foremost. I love the multiplayer, and I will spend most of my time in the multiplayer, but what I care about Halo 4 more than anything is the narrative. What the story is with Chief, what the story is with Cortana, what the story is with all the other characters, the set pieces, the missions, the big scale, the epic sense of sci-fi. That's what I love Halo for. And I feel like if I've got 4 hours to do that in, it's normally a bit like, well that was 4 hours. Okay, is that it? And especially if I'm being honest, and I don't want to bash people, but I don't find Halo 4 and Halo 5 as anywhere near the level of replayability as Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2 and Halo 3. Those three, I love going back and replaying because they're awesome. Halo 4, I've played a couple of times, it's okay. Halo 5, I'm so turned off by Halo 5's campaign altogether. I think I've played it through maybe twice and I haven't gone back to it. I'm like, yeah, I'm done with Halo 5's campaign. So the idea we're going to get a longer campaign, not too long, like it doesn't need to be into like your 15, 20 hours, but a 10 to 12 hour campaign for Halo is the sweet spot. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. doing a bold move multiplayer, which would surprise people, but this move could potentially bring Halo multiplayer back among the top play games on Xbox. I have no idea what that means. That could be anything. So that bit I'm a bit hesitant on. You might be that's guesswork at best. The Obsidian bit, that doesn't really have any relevance right now because it's not giving us any information. Obviously, they're going to be working on a new RPG on a big scale. Whether it's going to be the Outer Worlds 2, whether they're going to stick with that, whether they're going to move on to something new. Obsidian have got the ability to punch out some incredible games, and they will do that. So that's interesting. Forza Motorsport, it's going to look great regardless of what it does. I've not spent that much time with Forza Motorsport, to be honest, but I could definitely see them. They've taken a year, right? They've taken a year. They should have released a game last year. They haven't. They've taken that extra year, which suggests that they are working on some stuff. So, but yeah, I think all in all, this has some very, very plausible ideas. We will just have to wait and see. But if a lot of this does come true, now it's a 4chan post, we've got to take it with a bit of salt. But if a lot of this does come true, it's going to be pretty solid. I'm gonna be very, very happy with what's happening. So watch this space in terms of the next couple of weeks leading into May and June, because we could get some very, very big announcements which are going to make us very excited as Xbox fans. Right, number 2. Possible Final Fantasy VII Remake release date on Xbox. It looks like Final Fantasy VII Remake could be heading to Xbox, but not for some time. In an article from the Daily Star, Twitter user Mike aka Electric DC posted an image of a physical copy of the game with a sticker stating that the game is a timed exclusive on PlayStation 4 until the 4th of October 2021. This will mean that the timed exclusive deal between Sony and Square Enix will run for 18 months before the game arrives on Xbox and PC. Now, the one thing I will say is the date was written in numerical form. So it was 4/10/2021. Now, whether that's a British date, if it's a British date, then it suggests it's October. If it's an American date, it suggests that it's April. So either way, it's 12 to 18 months. So we could be waiting a year to a year and a half for Final Fantasy VII Remake to arrive on Xbox. The fact that it could potentially be coming to Xbox is great. I think it's fantastic because the game looks gorgeous. I've never played many Final Fantasy games at all. I've hardly played a game. Okay, so the Final Fantasy VII, when they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was kind of like, okay, that's cool. But I was like, I'm not, running to the hills singing, oh, it's coming. I wasn't really bothered. But the idea that it could be coming to Xbox now and it's going to get support on Xbox is fantastic. How much people are going to care if they have to wait 18 months for the game? Interested to see how that folds out. What's also interesting is Square Enix seems to just be willing to get into bed with anyone at this point, because they did this with Rise of the Tomb Raider. They put Rise of the Tomb Raider on Xbox for a year. Now they're putting Final Fantasy VII Remake on a timed exclusive on Sony for a year to 18 months. So it seems like Square Enix are just like, we'll put this here, put that there. We'll get a load of money for it, and then we're happy. So I don't know how consumer friendly Square Enix are being right now. That's a different conversation. The one thing I will say though is this is from the Daily Star, and if you live in the UK and you know anything about newspapers, our tabloids at best are questionable. Daily Star is the most questionable of tabloids. So take that with a pinch of salt. That could be not happening. There is a physical image which I'll obviously put on the video for you if you're watching the video on YouTube. So watch this space. If you are interested, it looks like you're going to be waiting a while. Number 3. The Coalition talk how the Gears universe can grow. So IGN sat down with 2 members of the Coalition, Gears franchise narrative director Bonnie Jean Ma and Gears Tactics design director Tyler Bielman to talk about the different stories taking place in the Gears universe. Now, it's quite a big interview actually. I'm just going to quickly read through a few quotes and then we can pick it apart. There is quite a bit here, so I will try and speed through it as best as I can. So, we could have picked Gears 4 up as a direct sequel from Gears of War 3 at Masthead, but Rod Ferguson made the decision to jump us ahead by 25 years, which is a really interesting decision because that then forced a whole bunch of rethinking about our universe, who the enemies are, where the characters are, what the heck is going on. So that already set a really good precedent for Gears of War, things like that. We can think about jumping ahead in time. We're not beholden to just telling a very linear story. With discussion on Gears Tactics, we could have done this with Kate and her timeline, but we didn't feel that was right given there was so much of her story to tell in Gears 5, Beelman said. We could have set it with Marcus and the Delta team, but we felt that we wanted our Gears Tactics hero to be unique and have a different take on the world, and while the Delta squad are an amazing set of characters, there wasn't one that we thought fit the bill for what we were trying to do. On the decision for Gears Tactics to star Gabe Diaz, we spent some time talking with all the different stakeholders about the decision, and ultimately it just kind of really came together really nicely, Beelman said. Some of Kate's dialogue was still being written for Gears 5, so we were able to add those notes, but it all started with our desire to make Gabe a different kind of Gears hero for a different kind of game, with a different kind of story for a different kind of player. All the while though, he's still got that lancer with a chainsaw on the end, so he could definitely kick ass. So many of our characters are defined by the weapon that they carry, Beelman said. It became obvious that we were going to make a sniper with our signature long shot, we were going to make a heavy with our mulcher, we were going to make a frontline character with our Nasher shotgun, and that kind of left us with just only certain things that the support class could really do. And at that point, it became clear that if we could build a kind of support character that wasn't just a medic, but it in fact allows you to unlock the potential of the other units and make all your other units better, that felt perfect for a leader. On the future of Gears, having Rod guide us and instill the Gears DNA into our studio, I am confident that in saying that we live and breathe Gears and understand his intention for this franchise, Mar said. We've been living it, we've been realising his creative vision for over the past 6 years. So now that he's gone off to new adventures, obviously Rod Ferguson has now joined the Diablo 4 team, I believe. I feel like we have it in our studio blood and our studio gut feeling about what would happen next, and we do have hints of what he was thinking of, but we are also very open to new ideas for what would happen next. For our stories to resonate with our players, we need them to be able to do not to identify, but feel like they can care about and get involved with the main character. So it comes down to creating stories that have a really compelling protagonist, making the stakes personal to that protagonist. I think for a lot of stories, the trouble with having giant stakes of saving the world is that how do you top that every single time? It's about putting a spin on that giant pile of stakes that you're trying to deal with by making it personal to the protagonist. And because we need to tell stories in our universe, we then need to make sure that the protagonist actually feels relevant to our story, and sometimes we worry everyone in our universe is related to each other. We're trying not to do that, but there is still a value in making the connection between people. Maybe it's sharing a history in certain battles or something, so that these touch points, that we can make that connection between our new stories, our new characters, and what came before. Because there are certain things that I feel we're strong at with Gears of War. We tell these very over-the-top stories, but we ground them with believable characters, believable performances. What we write is a really strong way of uniting our games no matter what they are, Mar said. I'm just really excited about the different avenues of stories that we can tell, Mar said, referencing not only the different eras that the team wants to explore, but the new mediums, and now with tactics genres. They have to do it. We're figuring that out next, but Gears Tactics is a great opportunity to tell a brand new story that's full of the Gears of War itch while we figure out and plan what's going to happen next in the main series. So I just feel like we have so many opportunities for our fans and our players and still get involved in our universe, and we're not going to stop. A lot there. Sorry if I screwed up at a few points, but I think the biggest thing to take away from this, if you want to read the whole article, it's over on IGN. It was written by Miranda Sanchez, who's fantastic. She's a massive Gears fan as well. I'll link it in the description as well. The biggest thing that seems to come from this is, on Xbox, Halo has been for so long the big franchise, the big extended universe, multi-genre, expanding, ever-reaching franchise. It's gone into games, it's gone into TV, it's gone into comics, it's gone into books, it's gone into all the different, figurines and the mega construct toys and all sorts like that. That has been really, really pushed as the beacon of Xbox for so long now. And it now finally feels that with Gears, Microsoft are really pushing Gears into that sphere as well. That's where it's now at. So it's really interesting to see how this is going to go. I'm really excited about Gears Tactics now. Really, really excited. I was lukewarm on the idea when it first came out, but seeing the reveal trailer, seeing how it's going to get the whole cinematic stuff and with the really box office animations and graphics, I'm really, really, really excited for this. And I think the Gears story is in a much stronger position than the Halo story is at the moment. I think after Gears 5 story with a few things, because obviously there was a few things that happened in the campaign, which I won't spoil if you haven't played Gears 5, that kind of leave you scratching your head a little bit going, I wonder what they're going to do with that. But overall, I think the Gears 5 story was super, super strong. And it's much, much stronger going into Gears 6 than I thought Halo 5 was going into Halo Infinite. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be very good. You know, I'm not into Gears as much as I'm into Halo. I've got some of the Halo books and comics and stuff, but if this is where they're going to go with Gears, I'm going to have to get involved in all that as well, because it looks very, very solid going forward. So watch this space for more Gears news. Speaking of Halo, item number 4, could the Banished be part of Halo Infinite? Via Windows Central, Halo toy partner Mega Constructs have revealed a new Hunter toy for their upcoming Pelican set. However, the Hunter has a new red and black colour scheme for its armour and fuel rod cannon. This has led the speculation the Banished, the enemy faction led by Atriox from Halo Wars 2, could appear in Halo Infinite in some form. This has got me very excited. Looking at it, it could be very real that the Banished are going to be in Halo Infinite. It looks that way. But there's a couple of things here. Atriox and the Banished were really cool in Halo Wars 2. Made even better by those incredible blur cutscenes. Right, Atriox looked menacing as hell. He splattered Spartans all over the place. He was a badass. But then he didn't really feature as much in the campaign as I wanted him to. So they didn't really flesh him out. He was kind of there as an intimidating presence, but they didn't really do much with him. If he's in Halo Infinite, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. But my one concern is they had so many characters in Halo 5 Guardians with Blue Team, Osiris, members of the UNSC. Just it was so many characters, and they all had so little screen time, and they all written so poorly that you didn't really get to understand much about them at all. My worry is, don't then add more characters into that mix. If you're going to trim some of the fat and you're going to kill a load of people off, fine. But I think adding Atriox and the Banished in as well to that already awful cocktail is going to make things potentially worse. But I did have a think. What if the Banished were in the campaign and they're actually the big bad presence now? What if Cortana's heel turn, like we got at the end of Halo 5, is not actually a legit heel turn? Maybe she might turn babyface again and be a good guy. And actually, it's the Banished who you're going to have to go up against. Because if you've got the Banished in there as well, and then there's talk of the Flood coming back as well, that's going to that's going to be very, very complicated. So I'm intrigued about if they're going to be there in the campaign, in what capacity are they going to be there? If they're even there at all, because they might not be in the campaign, they might just be part of the multiplayer. That's a possibility as well. So we have to just try and jiggle these pieces of the puzzle together, because the last thing I want is to add something in really, really cool, but it make the whole experience worse. But if we're talking about a potential open world Halo style game, then it could work, especially if the campaign's going to be longer. If the campaign's going to be longer and people are going to get more screen time, then this could work. This could really, really work. So, and the big thing for me as well, if Atriox is in the game, I want the Brutes back. Dude, the Brutes were awesome in Halo 3. And they were great in Halo 2, and even in ODST. And then when it got to Reach, they just kind of got binned. And I'm like, I want the Brutes back. I want the Brutes back in full force. So fingers crossed this is real. I would really want this to be real. The only thing I'm a bit annoyed about is, I know people kind of dive into things and look into the fine details at the moment, especially with Halo Infinite, because we're not getting that much news on it, okay? And people are getting worried and skittish about it. But I don't want to hear about this idea from a toy reveal. I want a big cinematic trailer, like, bang, Atriox is in the game. He's at Halo Infinite. He's a badass motherfucker. He's a baddie. I don't want to see this from there's a hunter who's looking red. Oh, Banished, they're in the game. Like, I want a bit more creative reveals than that if this is to be true, but We'll take that on board. I'll swallow that one if I need to. Item number 5. And item number 5, 6, and 7 are all Cyberpunk 2077 related. So I'm going to quickly whiz through them. There's not that much there. It's just giving people updates because this game I am psyched for. I'm so up for this game. Cyberpunk 2077 and Halo Infinite are my two big hype games for this year. So item number 5, Cyberpunk 2077 will have no less DLC than The Witcher 3. Via PC Gamer, according to an investor Q&A translated from Polish by VGC, Cyberpunk 2077 will have something similar in terms of DLC. CG Projekt Red President Adam Szycinski is quoted as saying there will be no less DLC than The Witcher 3 had. As for when we'll know more about what they'll contain, we should expect a similar scenario to The Witcher 3, which detailed the smaller DLC 3 months ahead of its release and expansions a few weeks in advance. I'm so buzzed for this, if this is to be true. It seems pretty solid if it's coming from Adam Szycinski. You know, he's been pretty reliable source, especially as he is the head of CG Projekt Red. The big thing I will say about this is The Witcher 3's DLC, if you didn't get a chance to play it and you haven't had a chance to play the game, now you've got some time, hopefully, on your hands, play it. Hearts of Stone was the first expansion. That was about 10 to 15 hour expansion. That was within the main world of Velen in The Witcher 3. Blood and Wine was a 20 to 25 hour expansion and introduced a whole new section of the world with the Duchy of Toussaint, right? I think Hearts of Stone was £15, so probably around about $20 at that point. Blood and Wine was about £25, so probably close to 30, maybe a bit more dollars. They were amazing as DLCs. There's a great graphic which I'll put on the video. It's basically, while some companies make DLCs and call them full games, other companies make full games and call them DLC. That is CG Projekt Red. That is what happened with The Witcher 3. These DLCs were massive and they were awesome. They were fantastic. And we also got 16 free smaller pieces of DLC, which arrived for The Witcher 3 as well. So, if this is the case, this is not only going to be a big main game, this is going to get a lot of support. And with that rumoured online mode as well, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be around for quite a while, because Heart of Stone came out in the, I want to say October, November of 2015. It might have even been earlier than that. So Witcher 3 released in May 2015. I think Heart of Stone came in the fall, and then Blood and Wine came about a year later, April, May, June time, I think. So we're going to get a year's worth of DLC if it follows that pattern, plus an online mode. Oh, very, very excited. Number 6, but a little bit of a down here. Cyberpunk 2077 won't get graphical upgrade on Xbox Series X at launch. In a recent interview with VGC, CG Projekt Red's SVP of Business Development said, in terms of Microsoft's console... Oh, I've lost it on my notes. Hang on. Woohoo. Where are I? In terms of Microsoft's console, like I said, we have officially confirmed both the update and the cross-gen availability, meaning that you'll be able to play the game from the get-go at the next gen. However, when it comes to a proper full-blown next-gen version, that's going to come later. We haven't announced when, and I don't have a new comment here on that. Interesting. Now, one thing to bear in mind about this is they might be cautious about talking about a Series X upgrade for a deliberate reason, i.e. they're not in a position to talk about it right now because we still haven't got the full bells and whistles on the Series X. You know, nothing's been shown on the Series X yet apart from Hellblade. And they might be reserved on that fact because they might not be able to talk about it. You know, if there is an Xbox Series X version coming out, they might not be able to talk about it. Their hands might be tied by Sony and Microsoft. On the other hand, we might not be pitching a Series X version because if you're a developer, you want people to invest in your game straight off. And the game's coming out in September. Now, if the Series X doesn't come out until November, do you want people to wait 2 months for the game, or do you want people to invest in the game straight away? That does seem a bit anti-consumer for a developer that is very, very, very pro-consumer, but it's worth thinking about. You know, they want to get people in the game straight away. And obviously with smart delivery, if you buy it on Xbox One, which is what I'm going to do, you are then going to be able to get that free upgrade whenever it comes. So you're still going to be able to play the game, and the game's going to look gorgeous regardless of whether it's on the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, or the Series X. That's a lot of consoles. But it's going to look great either way. So, bear that in mind. This could be a deliberate move because they're not allowed to talk about it because they're under an embargo, maybe by Microsoft or Sony, who knows. Or this might be a tactical move in terms of, we're not going to worry about Series X for now. We want people to get the game when it comes out because it will be awesome. So bear that one in mind. The other thing, item number 7. Now this one is official. This one is now confirmed. It was originally leaked, but it has, as of yesterday, Friday the 17th, I believe. It's just my phone. Yeah, Friday 17th. This was confirmed on IGN. So, an Amazon listing, a Cyberpunk 2077 limited edition Xbox One X bundle leaked / confirmed. An Amazon listing has leaked a full Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox One X bundle, which includes the console and a controller, each with differing designs. The console itself has a design of yellow and blue, similar to the marketing designs for the game seen so far, whereas the controller has a silver and charcoal design similar to the character design of Johnny Silverhand being played by Keanu Reeves. It seems that the leak has dropped before an official announcement from Microsoft and developer CD Projekt Red, with Cyberpunk 2077 set to arrive on September the 17th. Now, what is really interesting about this is that then got confirmed in a 30-second reveal on IGN. Well, it's probably everywhere, but I found it on IGN. And it's saying that the console itself will be released in June. That's odd. Because what usually happens with these limited edition consoles is they announce them, you get the game with it, and then you get the bells and whistles with the console. So, for example, I got my Halo 5 Xbox One with a limited edition of the game and a few other bits and bobs on when the game was released. So the idea that they're going to release the console well in advance of the game, curious about that. I've often heard about that. It's not been very, very frequent that happens. The one thing I will say, if they're going to sell the controller individually, I'm getting the controller. The controller looks awesome. It's very punk. It's very kind of, in a way, run-down metal, but in a really, really stylistic, creative way. It looks awesome. Microsoft do not get enough credit for their limited editions. They are fantastic. This one looks great. So a ton of Cyberpunk 2077 news for you there. I'll link the video in the description as well if you guys want to go check that out. And finally, item number 8, Crysis Remaster appears to be on its way. Via TSA, the leak comes from Crytek's own website, which is currently in full teaser mode with one of the series' distinctive nanosuit-wearing soldiers hanging out in a strobing environment. However, a sideways step to the site's cookie policy and inspecting the page's metadata reveals the following description. From the makers of Far Cry, Hunt, Showdown, and CryEngine, Crysis offers first-person shooter fans the best-looking, evolved, and innovative gameplay, enabling players to adapt in real time to survive. Crysis Remastered brings new graphic features, high-quality textures, and the CryEngine's native hardware, an API-agnostic ray tracing solution for PC. That sounds cool. PlayStation, Xbox, and for the very first time, Nintendo Switch. Not much I can say really about this one. It's awesome if you're a Crysis fan, so look out for that. I've not really played Crysis that much, so but look on the horizon for a Crysis Remastered. Interesting, however, remasters clearly are obviously going to still be a thing, but I'm surprised with all the backwards compatibility stuff that's going on at the moment. But there you go. Some people will take a different approach to it. Right. Moving swiftly into Game Pass gems, we have some more Game Pass updates. I'll quickly rattle through them. The Long Dark via Idea Xbox is arriving on April 16th, so that's already live for you now. There are no zombies, only you. The cold and all the threats Mother Nature can muster. A thoughtful exploration survival experience that challenges solo players to think for themselves as they explore an expansive frozen wilderness in the aftermath of a geomagnetic disaster. Rather cool. Gato Roboto, Idea Xbox, day one with Xbox Game Pass, April 21st. Make a valiant effort to save your stranded captain and his crashed spaceship inside your cozy armoured mech. Set off on a dangerous trek through an alien underworld full of irritable creatures and treacherous obstacles. That is available April 21st. Deliver Us the Moon, idea Xbox game and on Xbox Game Pass Day 1 on April the 23rd. Will you save mankind or be forgotten in the dark abyss of space? Deliver Us the Moon is a sci-fi thriller set in an apocalyptic near future where Earth's natural resources are depleted. A lunar colony providing a vital supply of energy has gone silent and a lone astronaut is sent to the moon on a critical mission to save humanity from extinction. Sounds awesome. April 23rd. A reminder of the Game Pass perks. If you've missed them, you can get 5,000 My Team points and 30 skill boosts for NBA 2K20. And you can also get an Xbox starter bundle with credits and more for Warframe and jump into Fantasy Online 2 with a monthly bonus pack. And leaving soon, April 30th, so you've got about, a week and a half now, is the Banner Saga 2, Bomber Crew, Braid, Fallout 4. For anyone who started Fallout 4, get that done before April 30th. Full Metal Furies, Metal Slug 3, Ruiner, Silence the Whispered World 2, Smoke and Sacrifice, and Wolfenstein The New Order, which I have started, so I'm going to have to get through that quite quickly. Some new free play days for you as well. You can get F1 2019 and Warhammer Chaos Bane from Thursday, April 16th, so it's now live, to Sunday, April the 19th until 11:59 PM. That is Pacific time. Your games with gold holders, exactly the same as last week. Project Cars 2 is still available April 1st to April 30th on Xbox One. Knights of Pen and Paper is now available April 16th through to May 15th on Xbox One, and Toy Box Turbo April 16th to the 30th on Xbox 360 and Xbox One. I'll quickly whiz through the Xbox Store stash for you. Brutal Rage is available on April the 22nd for £5.79 and for $6.99 US. A beat 'em up that has you travelling across the city and trouncing enemies along the way. Use your skills and weapons to unleash epic combos that you can use. Rage power to crush your enemies. Uncover a story of cops wrongly accusing your character for a crime they didn't commit as you embark on a brutal path of blood and retribution. Help Will Come Tomorrow is also available April 22nd for £16.49 and for $19.99. An experience that focuses on survival, meeting needs, gathering resources, expanding your camp, exploring surroundings. In order to win, you must learn the personality of the characters and work out relationships between them, mitigating conflicts and taking care of the morale. Manage scarce resources and stay alive in frosty wilderness of Siberia before help arrives. Moto GP arrives on April the 23rd for £49.99 and $49.99. It is also Xbox One X enhanced. Discover more realistic physics, improved graphics, new 3D models for the riders and face scans of official team managers, plus new animations. Customize bikes and suits, find the best combination of sponsor and livery and choose colours and materials. Compete with legendary riders across new historic content, and a new gaming mode await you to let you relive MotoGP history. Archaica The Path of Light is available April 24th for £12.49 and for $14.99. As the light bearer, your quest is to walk the legendary path of light and explore an ancient and beautiful world. The light is the key to open the secrets of this mysterious civilization. You must understand how various devices work to manipulate the lasers and direct them to the right triggers. Having to bend your logical thinking and perceptions to combine the powers of the artifact and solve a unique challenge of every riddle. War Theatre is also available April 24th for £4.19 and for $4.99 US. It is also Xbox One X enhanced. An endless conflict rages. 7 warriors discover an ancient power that promises mystery over any battlefield. War Theatre expands classic turn-based strategy gameplay with RPG elements. Choose your hero and take to battle in single-player campaigns set in a continent ravaged by ceaseless war. Complete quests to earn perks and unlock deeper customization options to refine your strategy and dominate opponents. Quest Hunter is also available April 24 for £16.74 and $19.99 US. An isometric action RPG where your choice drives the story. Find tons of treasure and secrets, solve puzzles, equip your character, level up your skills and finish off enemy bosses. Play on the couch alone or with friends, or make an online party for up to 4 players. And finally, Quern the Undying Thoughts, April 24th as well, is £16.24 and $19.49. Quern introduces reusable puzzle mechanics in a classic genre, making the player think about the game as a whole and not just as a series of individual challenges. Put your mind to the test with the increasingly complex puzzles and unravel the mysteries of the island. Follow the hints of the past as you delve deeper into the story to understand the importance of your present. Well, that is everything for this week, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Let me know your thoughts of any of the topics I've discussed about, or generally the show, in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, you head over to Installation X and subscribe, and you hit that bell for notifications of future uploads. In the meantime, make sure you stay safe, make sure you stay at home, play plenty of games, and I will see you in episode 3 next weekend. As always, make sure you follow the channel on social media in the description below. I'm Sykes, and for all things Xbox, stay tuned to Installation X. Bye, guys.